different, a lighter topic. I saw some pictures of bumblebees asleep with their butts sticking out of flowers. How cute is this? Look at them. The cutest little things. Now we'll find you'll find out why they get so deep and why this happens in 1 second. But bumblebees are pretty amazing. The way that their wingspan is so tiny that people have for many years been asking, how do they manage to fly, right? It's beyond physics or whatever. Some feral bumblebees in Australia and how to identify them. I found this article. It's just basically saying of intrusive bumblebees that come into Australia. The European, it's got some good images. That's why I brought it up. European bumblebee or large earth bumblebee. This one's from Europe. Check this bad boy out. Just your typical sort of bumblebee. You see them around. Maybe not so often for this one. Native great carpenter bee. Check it out. So awesome. Native teddy bear bee. Oh, look at them. They're just so amazing. They look so different from each other. Native blue banded bee. The Australian native blue banded bee are reddish brown on the thorax and pale blue stripes across the black abdomen. Native blue banded bee. The Australian native blue banded bees are 10 to 14 millimeters long and reddish brown with fur on the thorax and pale blue stripes across the black abdomen. I see these a lot, actually. They're tiny little dudes. Look, you can see how tiny they are there. So they're like the natives. The teddy bear bees, they're natives. The Australian native grey carpenter bee and the European bumblebee, that is not a native. But they're showing us how to see the difference. Check out the bumblebee nest. And I bet you didn't know this. And I bet you really want to know. Bumblebee nests are usually 10 centimeters under the soil surface. Nests have been found in old rodent nests, compost heaps, piles of leaf litter, wood piles, old stuffed chairs and sofas, covered drains, captive underneath concrete paths and houses. I don't know if you guys remember, but I had a video 5-6 years ago, maybe even longer, where my dad found an old chair with a whole hive of bees, just normal bees, and he brought it home and basically put them in a beehive. I've got that video somewhere if anyone's interested. A nest is actually really cool. There you go, that's the nest. But check this out, there's a spiritual meaning of the bumblebee. Bumblebees have amazing significance. They are quite incredible. Their overall meaning is that they are messengers of impossible dreams coming true. Or some say that bees' bodies are too big and their wings too small to fly. But the bee doesn't know that, so it flies. Or the bee is asking you to rewrite a belief riddle without a doubt into one steeped in hope. That's so cool. Bees are also known for getting things done through focused action. Why aren't you taking action? Why are you pausing? Make a plan, write it down, take action. This is why I love the bees. Meaning of the bumblebee flying around you. When a bee flies around you, it is asking you to move. It's also lighting you up. You may feel fear when you see it, but also feel alive. The bee is reminding you, you are here to live a life you desire, one where your visions come true. What a lovely way of looking at a bee flying around you. Usually people freak out. If you have this in mind, you see a bee flying around you. They're harmless, by the way. Hardly ever will they mess with you. Just think, feel alive. The bee is reminding you, you are here to live a life. Flying around doesn't necessarily keep you safe from being stung. The bee is teaching you to go into calculated action and pursue your goals. The spiritual side of the bumblebee from this website here, I don't understand that wording. What does it mean if a bee lands on you? That's a little bit more trouble. Bees asking you to stay calm, focus, and breathe. We're on bumblebees, but bees in general. It is such a fascinating thing. Aviators, the bee people, whatever you call the bee people. My dad can go up to a hive, pick it up with his hands, place it into another hive, move it, and hardly get stung. Maybe get stung once. Most of the time, not getting stung even once, right? And this is like that. I always call it the white man's meditation, even though I'm sure Japanese people have bees. It's a thing that I can't think of anything else where you have to have so much confidence in yourself. You have to be so in tune with the moment that you don't freak out. You move the bees and you don't freak out and you don't scare them and get stung the crap out of. Every time I'm around a bee, See, my personality is the opposite of that. This is why I admire this ideology so much, because every time I'm next to beehives, I'm getting stung all the time. They love to sting me. They sense the internal chaos, tuning into symbolic language of your soul, learning lessons from your guides. So this is a nice little spiritual aside for the bumblebee, but this is the physics-defying flight of the bumblebee. I always heard that they use sound to vibrate and hover, but they use sound for something else. We'll go over that just as we're ending the video. But let's have a look at the study. Short and stubby, the bumblebee doesn't look very flight-worthy. Indeed, in the 1930s, French entomologist Auguste Magon even noted that the insect's flight is actually impossible, a notion that has stuck in popular consciousness since then. Now, you don't need to be a scientist to raise an eyebrow at this assertion, but it sure is easier to explain the bumblebee's physics-defying aerodynamics if you're Michael Dickinson, a professor of biology and insect flight expert at the University of Washington. The whole question of how these little wings generate enough force to keep the insect in the air is resolved. Dickinson told Life Little Mysteries. This is where on livescience.com, by the way. There are details remaining, but it is not an enigma anymore. What are these details remaining? I bet you it's got something to do with sound. It's a conspiracy. Dickinson published a 2005 study in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences on the flight of the bumblebee after gathering data using high-speed photography and actual flying bees to force sensors on a larger-than-life robotic bee wing flapping around in mineral oil. He says that the big misconception about the insect flight, and perhaps what tripped up Magon, is the belief that bumblebees flap their wings up and down. Actually, with rare exceptions, they flap their wings back and forth, Magon said. No, not Magon said. That doesn't make sense. Take your arm and put it to your side. Alright, so they do this exercise. Let's have a look. Well, that ain't a bumblebee, is it? Fluid dynamics between bumblebees' flights are different from those that allow plane to fly. The airplane's wing forces air down, which in turn pushes the wing upward. For bugs, it isn't so simple. The wing sweep is a bit like a partial spin of a somewhat crappy helicopter propeller. But the angle of the wing also creates vortices in the air like small hurricanes. The eyes of those mini hurricanes have lower pressure than the surrounding air, so keep those eddies of air above its wings helps the bee stay aloft. That's crazy. Now check this out. This is disgusting research out of China once again. Other studies have confirmed that bees flying one of the more colorful projects. In 2001, a Chinese research team led by Liang Zhang of Tsinghua University, evil person, glued small pieces of glass to bees and tracked reflecting light as they flew around a laser array. Dickinson says researchers are more interested in the finer points of how insects control themselves once they're in the air. Those studies are especially important for fleet of robotic insects in development. Robotic insects. Alright, so before everything vanishes from the planet and it's replaced by robotic insects with glued glass to their wings, let's have a look at the amazingness of the bumblebee. Also, before we have a look, contrary to my belief, European honeybees make manuka honey, and it actually comes from how manuka honey is made. Manuka honey, as we have come to know, is a special type of honey. Where does it come from? Tea tree grows in the north of New Zealand and Australia. It is a species of Manuka myrtle that originated in Australia. However, after the first geological epoch, aridity of the Neogene period, and as a result of dispersal events, it later appeared in New Zealand. Leptocerymum scopaneum tree species is cited for having originated because of frequent fire outbursts, of which Australia is known for. It appears as a part of regenerative process after the forest mass has been burnt down due to New Zealand's severity and storage lingotubers. What? That have 5 adaptive traits. Manuka plant was only able to settle in a few places there. Over the years, and because of Polynesian people who set fires and cleared forest, soils have become low nutrient, and Leptocerymum scopaneum was predated in its homeland. The Manuka trees are found. Today you'll find a better part of them in New Zealand, mostly in dire eastern coast and north, south. In Australia, on the other hand, They grow genuine manuka trees in Tasmania, New South Wales, Queensland, and Victoria for more potent nutrients. Check it out. I am getting into the manuka farming business. That is a life goal for me. Australia is the place for manuka honey. Let's check this little guy out.
All bees buzz, but bumblebees are one of the very few types of bees that actually take that buzzing sound and use it like a secret weapon to get pollen. In fact, what the bumblebee is doing is sonication, buzz pollination. It's a technique that it's adapted to get pollen that other bees can't get. Certain flowers are specially adapted to keep their pollen high up in the flower, and a bumblebee can't actually reach that with his legs or with its tongue. So what it needs to do is vibrate to get that pollen to fall down. And how this works is they unhinge their wings from their flight muscles and
How amazing is that? They use sound to pull the pollen out of the flowers.
vibrate their muscles really, really rapidly, creating an angry bzzz that causes the pollen to fall down onto their bodies. Then they fly onto another flower and do the same thing. That's a superpower as far as I'm concerned for bumblebees.
How awesome is that? Good old little bumblebees. Look at them, they're so bloody cute. Hope you learned something about bumblebees today. I've wanted to do this video for a while, so there you go. Have a great day.